specifically Los Angeles. Well, Angela goes on to say that people joke about selling your soul for fame. No one talks about how ordinary the first step looks. For Angela, it started with an invite. A friend of a friend told her about a small industry gathering in the hills. Nothing crazy, just networking, a few producers, and a few up-and-coming artists. He says, when you're chasing opportunities, you say yes. So she went. He pulls up, and the house was gorgeous. But the energy felt wrong. When she walks in, it seems like everybody was smiling. Their smiles looked forced. The way people were talking in the house is as though they're whispering. They're talking so low as if they didn't want to wake something up. Angela said the second she felt how she felt, she should have gone home. And then she says someone important, she's not going to name who, recognized her from a clip she posted and called her voice rare. They got into this conversation, they're talking back and forth. This is someone that Angela admired. They get a drink, they're talking. Next thing Angela knows, she's being led downstairs to a private room. The person that she was talking to told her that there was a studio downstairs. He asked her if she wanted to check it out. She was like, sure. When they got downstairs, that's when everything changed. The room wasn't a studio. It was more like a lounge. She said there was red lamps, velvet seats, and one big mirror that covered the entire wall. Two men and a woman was already inside of that room. They all looked like normal people. Or it seems like these people have been waiting for Angela. When they get in the room, they ask her to sit, and they ask Angela a few questions. First question was what she wanted from music. Angela said the usual: success, stability, impact, tours. Now, Angela said that the way that these people were listening is as though they've heard this exact story like 1,000 times before. After Angela gets done, the woman leans in and says, we can give you all of that, but nothing in this city belongs to you for free. Angela says whole time she's laughing because she thinks the lady is being metaphorical. Spoiler alert, she wasn't. She opens a small leather case, slides it across the table, and inside was a sheet of paper. Not a contract, not a deal memo, something else. Old. Too old. The writing itself wasn't even in English. The paper itself had a weird smell radiating off of it. Smelled of incense and ash. She looks at the paper and told them that she didn't understand it. And now one of the men smiles and says, you don't have to understand. You just have to sign, and the city will take care of the rest. Angela, at first, she froze. Then she gets annoyed. Thought this was some weird hazing ritual, but she said she wasn't signing anything without reading it first. And y'all, the woman tilted her head and said, you already read it. You read it the moment you walked in this room. It's been waiting for you since you got off the plane. Angela gets distracted because she could have sworn she saw something flicker in the mirror. When she looks up, it wasn't a glitch. She caught a reflection that wasn't in the room. She saw from the mirror that it was a very tall figure, getting way too close, watching her. When she looks around her, she sees nothing. At that point, Angela stood up immediately. Temperature drops like it's suddenly freezing cold in this room. Her throat starts to tighten up as if someone was choking her. Man says, if you walk away, you will never know success. Because we're giving you the success right here. Angela says she pushes them back and ran up the stairs. The party upstairs was still happening like normal, like nothing just happened downstairs. And when she steps outside, the whole house went quiet behind her. She says she gets home and she says that night and forward, she had the worst nightmare of being trapped in hell. Her life started going downhill. You will never believe how this story ends. I honestly can't believe it. If you want to hear how Angela's story ends, this is already 4 minutes long, so leave a comment for part 2. Make sure you hit the plus button for more spooky content. This is the woman who believes that the devil lives in Los Angeles and she almost sold her soul. Part 2. So after leaving the house, she said, just know this part 2, leaving the house wasn't the end of it. Something definitely followed her. For the next 3-4 nights, she didn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt the same pressure on her throat from the basement. And it wasn't like it was full on choking her, it was just uncomfortable, a reminder almost. She said the mirror in her room kept fogging over even though the air was cold. She said once she wiped it, she swore she saw writing under the condensation. Something curved like the same shape as the symbols on that old paper. She said after that day, she stopped checking the mirrors, whatever, let them fall. She said after that night, the worst part is that her voice stopped working. She would open her mouth and try to sing and nothing would come out, not even a whisper. She went to urgent care, ENT, even a vocal coach, and all of them told her that there was nothing wrong with her physically. So she started self-isolating. Her friends thought she was depressed and her mom thought she was overwhelmed. She would wake up to random tapping in the house. She doesn't really know if it's coming from the window, the walls, or the mirror. After the 4th night, Angela was tired mentally, physically, and spiritually. She remembers staring at her ceiling thinking, maybe this is just how LA works for some people. And then she said something happens after that she still cannot fully explain. She woke up out of nowhere at like 4 a.m. It was pitch black, dead silence, and y'all, there was someone sitting at the foot of her bed. She says, not a shadow, not sleep paralysis, a figure, very tall, and it's just sitting there still, just watching Angela. She says she noticed that the room wasn't actually cold in this moment. It was hot, like humid breath was like hitting her face. She said her voice still wouldn't work, but in her head she's still hearing the voice of the woman from the house telling her, you've already been chosen. She said the figure leaned forward, and I swear to God, right before it reached for Angela, her phone buzzed, saved by the bell, because one single notification broke the whole thing apart. And she says the weirdest part of this all that she still cannot explain, the text was from a number that she didn't recognize, and the text said, don't engage, leave immediately. She blinked and the figure was gone, nowhere to be found. She said for once, her room felt normal again and she could breathe. Angela said she packed herself within the hour. She didn't shower, didn't look in the mirror. She got in her car and just drove. Angela said she didn't even have a real destination. She just felt like she needed to get out of the city because whatever figure that was, she figured that it couldn't follow her across state lines. She said she ended up stopping at a small Haitian botanica just outside of LA. And she said she wasn't even looking for this store. It was just on her drive. So she parked, get out of the car. When she walked in, the older woman behind the counter didn't ask for her name, didn't ask what she needed. She looked up to her and said, something is feeding on your voice. Angela didn't cry, she didn't explain, and she didn't question the lady. She said the woman mixed something in a small glass bowl, rum, ashes, something red that she didn't recognize, and she told her to wash her hands with it, then her throat, then her head. And the lady told her that if you signed nothing, it cannot claim you, but it can attach itself. You left the door open, and now you close it. Angela says that she noticed that the lady's voice sounded tired, like she'd seen too many girls come to LA with hope and leave with something missing. It made her repeat a short prayer in Creole. She said her voice cracked on the first line. By the second, a sound finally came out. The lady told her that the tapping on the wall, the figure on her bed, and the contract said those weren't metaphors. They're recruitment. She said certain circles in LA don't ask you to sign a deal. They ask you to offer yourself, your image, your voice, your presence, your dream. And not everyone gets chosen. But the ones who do don't get approached just because they're desperate. They get approached because they're gifted as well. Brightness attracts hunger, she said. Before she left, the lady warned her, don't make music here. Don't record here. Don't perform here. LA has already marked you, and if you go back to sing, it will find you again. Angela said, and for a long time, she didn't believe her. Now, at some point, Angela really started to feel like this whole thing was just taking a toll on her mental health. She doesn't have family history with schizophrenia or hallucination. She genuinely doesn't understand what this is. She said she ended up leaving LA to go back to her mom's for a break, to recuperate her mind, to try to figure out WTF just happened. Says the second she left LA, her voice came back fully. She says now she still sings sometimes, but she doesn't perform anymore, but she is done with the industry. She says she definitely never stepped foot back in LA. She says some opportunities aren't opportunities, they're invitations. Didn't sell her soul, but she's glad that God had her after all. I'm trying to record an outro, but I really can't talk, so bye.
Bro, this is not surprising. So about a year and a half ago, I was going to react to a creator that's on here and his story about how he was invited to an industry party. Let me tell you something. Hollywood is not called Hollyweird for no reason. Absolutely demonic, low vibrational energy lives, festers, feeds off of that place. Los Angeles is a portal, which I did make that video. It is absolutely a portal because it is a land where broken dreams live. It's a land where rejection turns into low vibrational energy, where the dead walks amongst the living. It does not surprise me in the least bit that this happened to this woman. And the tea is that it's not just singers or entertainers or actors anymore. It's social media, content creators, and influencers. Now this is all alleged, okay? But you ever notice how big the Vine people became? All the opportunities. Some of them went and purchased or created actual TV networks. A lot of them are millionaires. Why do you think that is? I've heard of these industry parties where these creators go and is very weird. It is very strange. And it's very scary. But it's the same type of deal as Rebecca's story. You sign your name on the contract, do as they tell you to, and you are famous. You take off. You ever notice that a content creator will come out of nowhere and in, you know, let's say less than a year they got 5-6 million followers? That shit's not normal. And then you have some of the OG content creators from the early YouTube days who also were involved in this. The minors involved in this. The shit is crazy. Y'all think I'm bullshit, y'all. I promise you. You sometimes are invited to these very elite parties. The blessed part about it is the only creators I feel like they do not invite to these parties are spiritual creators. Because we ain't going. We're too heavily protected. Our ancestors would not allow it. And then you look at some creators and how they crashed out. Some rappers, singers, how they crashed out online. Do y'all remember when Sukiana crashed out and said she sold her soul to the devil? She don't want it no more. I remember that.
So y'all, I apologize, and I'm sorry for what I'm about to say, but as far as this music stuff, I won't be doing this music stuff anymore. I started this because this is my dream, and I wanted to make sure I could get me and my kids out the hood. It's always been my passion to rap. A while ago, I had signed a contract, and I didn't know nothing about the business or this game out here. And just like me, I'm realizing that I signed my soul. I sold my soul to the devil. I signed my soul to the devil. I don't even own myself no more. I sold my soul to the motherfucking devil, and I done prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed. I don't even believe in myself no more because of what I did. I did not know the game was like this.
You remember how some people just fell off the face of the earth? Very, very talented people. People who seem to have beef with the industry, whether they were a makeup content creator, a singer, a rapper, it's because they were going against the grain. Some of them eventually became submissive to this, and some of them said absolutely not. And they still go against the grain. They're looked at as complicated and difficult, and then eventually they're blackballed. All I'm going to say about this topic, and if y'all want me to get into this even more about how it's not just the singers, it's not just the rappers, actors, like they are coming after social media content creators that are quote unquote chosen, I can make a video on it, but it's absolutely a thing. And it is not worth it. Because one of the creators, like I said earlier, that's on here, and I really wanted to react to his video or watch it with you guys, he was a content creator. He wanted to be a famous one at that. And he was invited to this party, and it was like a live version of the seven deadly sins. It just got worse and worse and worse to the point of they were trying to record this person doing nefarious things. It was insane. And this was around the time of the explosion of social media. They had their pickings, and they still do this shit to this day. Y'all be careful. Content creation, social media fame, actors, singers, rappers, they go through the most spiritual warfare. And a lot of them step away from music entirely. I'm just glad that this person who submitted this story left LA. LA has a heaviness to it. You can literally feel that place in your ass, from your stomach to your ass. Certain places give you that knot in your throat. It makes you lightheaded. You will literally pass by a person thinking that they are with the living and they are dead. It is like the West Coast version of Louisiana, of New Orleans. Y'all be careful when y'all going out to visit. That is all for today, YouTube. And if you'd like me to cover a personal thing or topic, please leave it down below. And until next time.